Hi, my name's Glenn, and you came to this video today to know whether or not you should download and install Linux onto your computer to help you become a better software engineer. The answer is no. You, that's the short answer. So for all those people looking for the short answer, bye. Alright, for everyone else who's still here, today I'm going to go through 5 reasons on why you don't need to install Linux and why it's unnecessary. And then I got a little bit of something else at the end, a little bonus. So stick around with me. Alright guys, so before we get into the first reason, just a little disclaimer. You really don't need Linux if you have a Mac operating system. If you're running a Mac or MacBook Pro or anything like that, Linux and Macs are virtually the same, except Macs are just better in every category, except for some niche server reasons. So don't install Linux if you have Mac. The rest of this video is geared towards more Windows people. Alright, so the first reason is, as a software engineer, very unlikely you're going to need to know any command lines or anything like that for Linux. Most software engineers touch Linux maybe once or twice a year. Now, if you work more on the DevOps side, on server side, handling that thing, you might do a little bit more, but I'm talking about the average software engineer, the people who make websites. You're not going to use it. You're going to be handling frameworks and IDEs and compiling code and all this stuff in the corporate world is going to be on a Windows machine or in applications that are on Windows machines. The second reason why you shouldn't install Linux onto your computer is it makes all the little things harder. It makes everything you want to do just a little bit harder. You're going to have to know a lot of little niche things. Every time you want to find something or application, you're going to either have to use like a generic second offhand application or figure out how to install this bigger application, more known application. Okay, so the third reason is if you're on your personal computer throughout college and when you're learning how to program, and you go into the corporate world where most people use Windows machines, then you're going to be behind. You're not going to know how to install path variables, environment path variables. It's going to be harder for you to install everything because you got used to sudo apt install, name your application, clicking enter, and running it, or learning how to run .sh files instead of .exe files. It's just a lot of different things. And if you're going into the corporate world and you don't know how to operate a Windows machine, you're going to feel pretty stupid. And this is what happened to me. So I'll get into more of my personal stories later on, maybe in a different video. But that's the third reason. It's just going to make you not know the skills you actually need to get your computer up and going when you first start. The fourth reason is because there are just some laptops that do not support Linux very well. We have to understand when we download and install an operating system, it goes down to pretty much the fundamental core of the computer, the ones and zeros, the machine language. And if your computer wasn't built or manufactured to handle those Linux environments very well, or at least even kept in mind, like my HP laptop, it sucks at running Linux. It crashes every other day. It won't let me update. It's bad. So you need to keep that in mind, even if you are just switching over to a dual boot system, that your computer may not even like Linux to begin with, because it was made for Windows. And the fifth reason, and I may have stated this a little bit on the first and second reason, but product availability. All of the products are not on Linux. Like, most are not. Most products are not made for Linux. For a long time, we really didn't have a gaming scene on Linux. It has been getting better, but even to this day, most things are made for Linux last, or even not even thought about during the development process, and no one really cares about it. So you're going to get a lot less support on the applications you do have, and you're just going to flat out not have a lot of the products that you may want or even may need or use in your job. Now with programming, most applications do have it, like Eclipse and IntelliJ, but you have to understand not all of them will. And when they do, you're going to be the last one to get those security updates. You're going to be the last one to get pretty much every update. So that's just something to keep in mind before you switch. And here is my bonus. Now, while Windows Linux command line may not be very good, it is there. So if you want to learn the command line for Linux, because you need to touch servers every now and then, there is a Ubuntu command line that you can get easily from Windows, from the Windows Store. You can download it and use it for all your daily applications, so you get the best of both worlds. You can use the Linux terminal while having everything else Windows offers. There's no reason not to have it. Now, okay, so that's my reasonings behind it. So let me tell you my experience, right? So my experience has been for the last 4 years since college, people taught me into using Linux because I'm going to need it. It's going to teach you a lot of stuff you should know. Well, that is true. I did learn a lot of information, and it did help me out with a lot of shortcuts and macro keys that I was used to from my video games, and I can implement it fairly easily. I'm not saying you can't do the same with Windows, but with Linux, personally me, Ubuntu, it does help out. There are a lot of pros to using Linux, but you have to keep in mind, from my experience, the pros do not outweigh the cons. So if you want to use a image editor, you're going to have to go download some freeware or pay for something that's not going to be, most of the time, not even be anywhere remotely good as Microsoft Paint. And now, I was a big Linux fanboy when I first got started. I was so excited I was learning all this new stuff, but at the end of the day, it just makes everything harder. And especially 2 years out in the field and now being a senior software engineer, looking back at it, I wasted a lot of time just fucking with Ubuntu and just using the terminal because I had the terminal. It really didn't help me at all. Now, maybe if I was going in more in the DevOps side, maybe it would have helped me more, but from a pretty much a website software engineer, really didn't help me all that much. Well, that's the end of my rant, guys. I appreciate y'all sticking around this long, and if you have, please like the video, give me a subscribe, and turn on the notification bell. So I'll see y'all guys next time.